the weird, and the wonderful with Strange Bones. That's me. So welcome back. I hope everybody is having a truly wonderful day. Welcome to Lowell Edits and Linda Kutle and Alamaki and all of you other wonderful peoples. Yasmin Khan, welcome. I hope you're having a very, very good evening. It is, after all, a wonderful Thursday night. And we have more spooky stories on our current dive into things that might go bump in the night. Mostly ghosts, but maybe not. Who's to say? And because of that, we are going to expect you guys to give your opinions. So comment lots and say what you think. Now, we only have one rule on this channel, and that is don't be rude. You may believe, you may disbelieve, you may do all of those things as suits you, as long as you are polite about it. Welcome to the Emperor's Son. It is good to see you again. I hope you're in fine and fabulous form. But yeah, that all said, I'm going to be sharing some of the experiences I personally have had. And I will make a few disclaimers first up as we go along, but remember to like, share, subscribe, do all of the good things. Join our fan club, and why not? Because it's you guys that make the channel happen and who support us. Without you, there is no channel. So yeah, interact, please, comment, do all the requirements. But now, one comment a lot of people have asked me is, in all of these things, why did I never use my phone to record any of them? Well, as embarrassing as it might be, I come from an age of no cell phones. So yeah, there was none of that available to me. Thanks for the like there to Max. To give you an idea though, I have managed to do a number of interesting things in my life, and a number of them have been pretty cool. I've absolutely enjoyed what I have learned over the years. To give you an idea and a background, I am a South African. As all people in my general sort of age group, I grew up at the beach. Hey there, Za. In a very, very small village. When I was there, when I first moved in, I must have been around 3, yeah? And there were 11 houses in the entire village. That same place, of course, has grown rather substantially, and if you go there now, it is absolutely nothing like it was when I was there. But yeah, after my... Hello, how are you?
You don't remember me? It's fine.
You ask that every time.
Oh, so you do remember me?
Yes, I do remember you. Are you in good form today?
It's cold.
Ah. Here it's actually quite warm, but it's damp. So, yeah. But the weather has been up and down, so sometimes cold, sometimes not so.
I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes, and I don't want to get bitten by a mosquito but they're biting me without my permission.
Well, unfortunately, I have the same problem at the moment. I'm starting to think that they are breeding mosquitoes the size of chickens, because, man, they are big. But there you have it.
Oh, do you know those big mosquitoes? One that have huge wings. I never seen them in a long time.
We're getting plenty of them at the moment because of the damp.
No, never got them yet. Yay, my phone isn't charging.
Okay, so giving you the background, from school to the military, because that's what everybody did, you had no choice. And from the military, I worked for a short while before joining a religious order as a monk, where I spent 9 years studying and working as a monk in South Africa, in KZN. And it was only after that that I actually left the church, went off, got a job, did all the things that one does. So that's my background. So just to give you a brief...
What are we doing?
We are doing ghosts. But we are doing the ones that I personally have seen. So you have to give your opinions. Thank you so much to A3 for the likes and the follow. I do appreciate.
And you can give me a follow too. Like it's not expensive.
That is very, very true. We should absolutely support each other in this. Now, to give you guys an idea, when I was a monk, after the initial training, of course, I worked alongside the official exorcist for KZN, for the Catholic Church, and alongside a number of very interesting priests, including the Archbishop of KZN, who had worked there since he was a very young priest. So he had been there 60 years, and he really knew the people. And this is all pertinent to some of the stories. So bear that in mind as my background, as it were. Now, that said, the first story that I want to share with you might not be a ghost. You'll have to give your opinion.
You're going live so early. It's now only 10 o'clock. I thought you go live like after 10.
No, 10. 10 o'clock is the time.
And my friend is not joining my lives. I've been going live. He hasn't been joining.
Oh dear.
Yes, and I only had 50 viewers today.
You got more than I got.
No, I don't mean like watching at the same time. Like how many people joined and left,
Oh well. Alas, it happens. Ben, how are you?
Good.
Good, good, good. Glad to have you on board. Curtly, hello, how are you?
I gotta take a shit, I'm coming back.
And I am afraid that he will not be coming back because...
What? Oh, what did he do?
We don't allow rudeness on the channel.
What did he say about?
Good. So...
No, tell me! I'm old enough!
So, the first story I have to you happened when I was in the military. I am very good, Curtly. I am very...
Oh, Curtly's here again.
Yes, he is. And somebody...
Why did you have to do that? Just this.
Really? That, I'm afraid, is a block for that lad. We do not use language like that on this channel, I am afraid. Sorry. Thank you for the likes, Curtly. So, if you're South African, you pretty much know that back in the day, when you left school, you had a choice. You could join the military, you could join the police, or you could go to jail.
What?
Yes, that was your options. There was no middle ground.
Back in the day, my dad, which is probably in your day, he said, I don't wanna, and they let him go, so I don't know.
Well, a number of my friends, because there were certain provisions, you were allowed to not go if you were studying. So they very quickly went and studied, and by the time they finished their studies, the rules had changed. So they got out of it. whereas
No.
I went straight, so I did
Ugh,
not.
that comment is still there. Can you just delete it?
Good evening.
So
Hello.
that was that, unfortunately. Hello, Yolanda. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are
I'm
you?
very glad to hear that. I am good, thank you. I hope that you have been good while you've been
Very.
away.
She sounds like
Yeah,
my
I
best friend's
tried.
mom, to be honest.
Good stuff, good stuff. So we're talking ghosts, but tonight I thought, because I was having a long discussion with one of the other guys, with Spooky, in fact, and he says, well, stories are all very good, but how do you know? How do you know if there are ghosts or things out there? So I thought, well, fair enough. He's got a very good point. It's a reasonable comment. So I thought that I would share some of the experiences that I personally have had. Now, I suppose you can equally argue that how do you know that I'm telling the truth? Well, unfortunately, that you're just going to have to believe. I can't prove more than that. But I do promise you I will be as honest as I can and give you the options available, so to speak, as to whether or not I have any certainty as to what it may have been. So I will be fair, and you guys must decide whether or not it was just my imagination or whatever.
But can I
Okay?
just say something?
Yes.
You see, so a few years back, like 1 year at least, me and my friends like sneaked into the mall. Nobody was there. We heard
Okay.
somebody walking out. So I'm just thinking that's a security guard.
Fair reasonable. Yes.
Then the next day I googled about that place. They don't have any security guards. I'm thinking that place is stupid. The next day we went and you know what we found?
Tell
A
me.
security guard.
Well, at least you got an answer, which might be a good thing if you think about it. Thank you
This
so much
wasn't
for
some
the heart there. But yes, now I was raised by two parents who were both scientists, and they always said to me, if you can't poke it with a finger, it probably isn't real. They were very skeptical, they were very scientific about everything, and yet I encountered quite a few things, sometimes with them, that were very interesting. So, your opinions would be most appreciated. Now,
Can I say something?
yes,
Okay, so I don't know if this is a naive way of looking at it, but if you look at the Bible and it says that there's a Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost,
yes.
right? So I believe that depending on which wave you're riding on spiritually as a person, there are certain situations where you can encounter a spiritual being such as a ghost. And I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean that one is mentally unstable. It just simply means they're in a different realm, because there are different realms within the same world that we're living in. People are not living in same realities because of the practices that they're doing.
Well, this is a very reasonable viewpoint. However, because we are sharing things in a sense for the skeptical, I'm not in any way arguing with you. I agree with you, actually, but we are saying that that is a belief that you have. And if somebody doesn't believe, they're going to say, well, you can believe that, but you've got no proof, if that makes sense.
But they believe that they can talk to someone overseas on the phone.
But we can prove
Like,
that.
oh, but they believe that there's Wi-Fi.
But we can prove that.
You can also prove there's a ghost.
Well, that is what we are attempting tonight, to give reasonable argument that there might be more. So, Yes,
Or you know?
if you were to ask me personally, I would say to you, absolutely, I totally agree with you. I think there is. But to
Like,
give stories for people to consider, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I have often said on these lives, there are a great many different people on the live. Some are religious, some are not. We have several different religions, which is one of the reasons why I always insist don't judge people and don't be rude. Because just because you believe one thing and I believe another, it doesn't mean that we have to be rude to anybody, you know, to each their own, and fair is fair.
Yeah.
Yes, so there are a lot of opinions, and that it makes it really nice because when I share the stories, we can get opinions from a lot of different people, which is equally useful in terms of understanding what might be out there regardless of belief that
Can
we
I?
must accept, if you will. But yes, go on.
Yeah. Can I just explain my viewpoint? Right. I think that business people, learned people, people who did theology, it takes a certain caliber of people to
Yes,
understand the type of reality that we're in, and backed by financial status. A lot of people that have really extreme encounters of the outer world because of their
yes,
stance in society,
yes,
they get taken a little bit more seriously, and they are able to build on those encounters. Business platforms that allow people to venture out into other realms. And if you look, for example, at what Elon Musk is doing and all the satellites that he's putting out there, right? If you do your research, you will realize that he himself has gone through a lot of spiritual encounters to have the certain level of knowledge that he has. And because he is so smart and rich, nobody is questioning his level of sanity.
this
And
is
I think
also
that
true.
people who believe and have accepted that they are living with spirits around them
huh?
are such more sane people. They are not in denial, and they are able to use these beings to build on their businesses without appearing like they are doing dark magic, because this is real. It's not dark magic, it's reality. You are trying to reach out to a generation of beings that want to be part of the human life, because they are part of us. It's just that, when we encounter them and we have a very, very rigid state of mind, and all these, how do you say it? If you have like a stereotypical mind, and when you have such an encounter, you take everyone else's experience and opinions and you put it in this incredibly unique experience that you are having, and you're not giving yourself a moment to actually introspect and say, why am I having this encounter? What can I do to enhance this moment or make it a personal encounter, and not take people's realities and opinions and say, oh well, if they say I see ghosts, then I must be going crazy. Or if I see ghosts, then this. That is someone else's story. It's not yours.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
You missed my intro, which I will give you a very brief preface of.
Yeah.
Hi there to Leachy's tissues. Okay. Hello.
It's used to.
I growing up in South Africa, after school, I went to the military. After the military, I worked for a short while and then joined the Catholic Church, where I was a monk for 9 years.
Wow.
Yes, I have degrees in psychology, sociology, anthropology, philosophy, theology. I've studied the Bible extensively.
Somebody followed me.
So, yes, I agree with you that it does give you tools to use, which are absolutely well worth having, and not everybody has the opportunity to get it. So you are quite correct in that regard. So my own personal opinions, which I will share as well, are based on a lot of study and learning in that regard. So yes, I'm not saying that I believe in these things just because. No, I've looked into it for reasons, so that you understand where I'm coming from. So yes, there are a number of things in that regard that I have done. Thank you for the follow there, Sticks. So yeah, it does help to have been trained. As I said as well, I worked alongside the chief exorcist for KwaZulu-Natal for about 5 years while I was a monk. A fascinating fellow. So yeah, I've seen a lot of things. Now, as I also did point out, I am from the pre-cell phone era. And as a monk, of course, I took vows of poverty, which meant even when they were available, I did not buy one because I had no money. So that was how it was. So I can't show you photographs. I can't say I recorded anything because I didn't. It's that simple. So it's my word only, but take it as it is. So these are a couple of the stories that happened to me. So they are at least personal. And thereafter, hey, we achieved nearly all of our live goals. Thank you, guys. That's amazing. I appreciate. But yes, so here is the first story, and you may make of it as you will. Now, when I was in the military, the base that I was at was quite a large one. And one of the things that you have on a standard military base is observation towers that go around the outside. And basically, imagine a pole with a ladder going up about 4 stories to a very small round hut. Okay, so you come up through a hole in the floor, there's a little trapdoor, and it's just one little room with windows all around. You can sit in there and be on guard. And that's literally one of the things that we did. That was a thing. Now, the one night when I was looking through a whole lot of the stuff, I realized, you know what? That one tower in the corner there, they never post anyone to it. And I'm one of those people who's very, very curious about everything. I want to know. I'm nosy as hell. So I was like, but why? I mean, it's standard practice. Every single tower, every single night, some poor bugger is up there in the cold, because that's how it is. Curiosity is a good thing, House Latte. I believe that. Without it, we would never achieve anything in life. So I went and asked one of the guys. Now, I was part of a section that was mostly out on the border. So when I was back in camp, I was quite literally doing nothing because it was my time back. So one of the guys in charge of the people at the camp said to me, oh no, we never ever post anybody because that tower is haunted. And then he didn't want to say anything else. And I'm like, haunted? Really? Nah, come on. So I said to him, come on, you can't just tell me that and then leave it at that. Give a little here. Sticks, thank you for the rose. I just saw it there now. I appreciate that. So he says to me, well, about 15 years back, there was a guy he was a bit of a flaky fellow, and he was posted up to be in this particular post, and he was arsing around instead of doing his job, and he fell out. Now, the windows in the observation tower, there's no glass in them. And if you're stupid enough to lean too far over, you can fall out. And of course, it is 4 stories off the ground. So naturally, when he landed on his head, it was fairly terminal. And ever since then, nobody could stay a night in that tower, and they were all terrified. So now one of the problems with being in the military is you never get enough food. And I knew that this particular guy had access to all of the spare rations. So I said to him, hey, you give me 2 rat packs. I will spend an entire night in that tower. And he's like, you will never, ever manage. I said, I will do it. So they went to the base commander, told him, no, this is what this guy says. Thanks for the likes. Can he do it? And the base commander's like, if he is so dumb as to actually try it, let him try it. But I will put $100 down right now that he won't last past midnight. And all of the other guys said the same. Said, no problemos, I will do it. So they said, fine. 8 o'clock tonight, we post the guards. You be there, we will give you the tower. Done. So no problems. 8 o'clock, I joined in with the groups. Everyone got their assignments. And there was quite a crowd, I gotta say, including the base commander. And they were like, we want to see you up. So they said, here's the thing. We're going to post somebody. He's going to sit on that bench over there. And he's going to watch and see if you come down. So I said, no problem. So up I go. And as I say, it's 4 stories high. It's quite a bugger climbing up this narrow... It's a caged ladder, so you don't fall off as you climb up. But up I went, got inside. I took with me my little stovey and some water and some coffee. And there I sat for the night. And 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, there's nothing. It's not terribly dark. Because, of course, the base lights are all on. I can see all around. I could see the nearby town. All good, no problem. And I'm thinking, this is easy. I mean, fastest way to get 2 extra rat packs ever. And they'd bet couple hundred. Now, back in the day, $100 was $100. I mean, you could get a fair bit for $100. And there are at least 8 of them that had bet it. And I'd put my 100 in. So I would be only losing 100 if I didn't make it, but I would gain about $800, which was, hey, damn near my month's salary. So, and 2 rat packs. So I'm keen for this. I am well keen for this. 11:30, all good, no problem. It's a lovely warm evening. I'm enjoying myself. I make a nice cup of coffee. And about 5 to 12, I go check out. There's Oki sitting on the bench. I wave at him. He waves at me. Hey, we're still good. No problem. So I'm leaning there with my coffee, checking out. Life is lovely. And I hear somebody climbing up the stairs. So, okay. They're coming to check whether or not I'll do anything. See if I'm still here. Open this hatch. It's the base commander. He says to me, listen, But You don't have to do this. We'll let you off. I'm like, not a chance, bruh. I'm here. He says, we understand. If you don't manage, don't worry. We'll give your pennies back. No issue. Not a chance. I am here. He says, I'm just letting you know. And I thought, man, for the base commander to come for just a standard troop, that's a strange thing. But he looked worried, eh? But he says, I'm not staying. Down he goes. And he's gone. So I'm sitting there, and 12 o'clock goes bong and nothing happens. Life is good. 12:05, life is good. 12:15, I hear somebody coming up the stairs again. And I'm like, okay. So I open the hatch, I look down, nobody there. Okay. So there I sit. Now, this guy had fallen out at 33 minutes past 1. This is important. So I'm sitting there, and life is good. Nothing happening. And I hear somebody coming up the ladder again. I open the hatch, I look down, there's nobody there. Shut the hatch. Think, no, they're trying to scare me. They want me to fail. I'm not going to fail. So I'm leaning against the edge of the window, checking out. And all of a sudden, this guy leans next to me. I hadn't heard him come up. I'm like, wait, what? He says, it's cold. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's like 35 degrees, even at night. We're like right on the border of the desert, you know. It is not cold. He says, I'm very cold. And I thought, I don't recognize him. This is odd, because his insignia was the same as my company, which meant that I would have known him. But I didn't. So I'm thinking, hold on. So I stepped back and I put my foot on the hatch. So I'm standing there and I'm like, but he won't look at me. He's looking away, looking around, looking out. And he's like, it's boring doing this. I'm like, yeah, but you know, it's cool. And I'm like, do you want coffee? He says, yeah, I'm cold. So I turn away for a moment and I make 2 cups of coffee. I look back. Now remember, my foot's on the hatch and it's staying on that hatch. I look back and I'm alone. And I'm standing there with 2 cups of coffee and my foot on the hatch, and he's gone. And I'm thinking, hold on. So I put the coffee down. I go lean over the window to check down below. There's nothing down below. It's well lit down below. Nobody's fallen out, nothing. And I'm thinking, wait up here. Hold on. So I think, well, I said I would do it, and I'm stubborn like that. And I'm like, damn it, I'm going to do this. So I plonk myself down with my 2 cups of coffee, which I damn well drank. And I waited. And 8 o'clock the next morning, the sun is up. I take my foot off the hatch, and I was awake the whole time. I guarantee it. My foot stayed on that hatch. I open the hatch, climb down, and they're all waiting for me at the bottom. And they're like, you did it. And I'm like, yes, I did. And the one guy says to me, did anything happen? So I says to him, the guy, this Okie that fell, was he in this company? And they're like, how did you know? I said, well, saw him last night. Now, I don't know. What do you think? Ghost? Real? I was awake and drinking coffee. I made cups of coffee. I was like full on awake. I had my foot on the hatch. There is only one way or in or out of an observation tower, and I was standing on it. And I might have turned my eyes away for a couple of moments, but there's no way somebody got in and out without me knowing, because literally, it's about 6 feet wide, and it's a circle, so a 6-foot diameter. There's no hiding. There's no furniture in there. There's a little shelfy thing against the wall you can sit on, and that's it. You're supposed to stand, because that's how it works. So, was it a ghost? Wasn't it a ghost? Give your opinions. But yes, that guy came from that company, my company, and he wasn't somebody I knew, and I was part of a specific company, HQ company, which meant there were only 30 people in the entire company. So I knew each person individually, personally. There is no ways it was one of mine. Dunno. That was my first. Let's talk the second story. So, every now and then, because that was how it worked, they would select from varying peoples who were not required at the time to go and do special guard duty. And what that meant in ordinary English is, yes, it is creepy, Sticks. So in ordinary English, what it means is we've got some random spot in the middle of nowhere, and because you're doing nothing and we don't allow people to do nothing, you're going to stand guard there to keep you busy. It's make work, and we know it. It's usually some really ruined, unused, weird spot. And in this case, I got picked along with 3 of my buddies and 1 lieutenant who was going to be the guy in charge, which basically meant he slept the entire time because there's nothing to do. You walk around for your couple of hours through the night and through the day, and then you hand on to the next guy and you sign in and sign out, and then at the end of it you get on a truck and go home. Not exciting at all, but you know, it's something to do. Most people would sit there playing cards because when you're on duty you don't have to go and do PT, so great. So off we go. Oh, and they gave you extra rations for while you're out there, which was fantastic, because you used to get these really cool little energy bars in the rat packs, and people would literally come to blows over those things. They were nice. There was a rum and raisin one. Man, I liked them. So there we go. We're out there, and during the day, nothing happens at all. I was on first night watch, which meant the best for me, because basically 8 at night till 10 at night, I would walk my rounds and then hand over. And I wouldn't go back on duty until daytime again, which meant I would get a full night's sleep without anyone waking me up in the middle of the night. So, score. So yeah, we just, and everyone sat up till 10 anyway, playing cards and rubbish. So nice and easy for me. I went and did my rounds, and a great deal of absolutely nothing happened. It was the old place that at a stage was a dog training facility. And now it hadn't been for the last 20 years. So there were a couple of derelict buildings and a tent and a big fence around it that was about 20 feet high. Hey, join my fan club. Thank you for that. Thanks for the heart, me sticks. So, I mean, really boring. The place where it was is so flat that you can literally see the nearest city, which is about 200 k's away. You can see the lights of it. And initially I thought it was the next town. I didn't realize how flat we're talking here. Nothing grows higher than about your knee out there. It's desert, it's flat, there's bugger all to see, and you walk around this big place on your own, nothing happens. Now, my friend, who was a very good buddy of mine, very intelligent fellow, absolutely awesome guy, and not prone to being scared of anything either. If anything, he actively sought out, he loved scary things. Now, he had the third night watch, which meant from 12 till 2, the witching hour, if you will. So anyway, about 1 o'clock in the morning, he shakes me awake. And I'm thinking, dude, really? That's just not right. Come on. He's like, you've got to come and see this. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, there's something out there. I said, buddy, we are not even on the border. We're somewhere back. The only reason we're here is to give us something to do. There's nothing out there. He says, no, there's something out there. You've got to come and see. So I'm like, hey, he's my friend. Whatever. But then I suddenly realized that he actually looks scared. Now, this is a guy that I know doesn't get scared. So I'm like, wait, something's definitely spooked him. So now I'm curious. So he takes me out to the very middle of the area within this closed, locked up fence, because you're locked in. So nothing's coming in anyway. And 20-foot high chain link fence with barbed wire 3 feet high on top of it. Nothing's coming in, but that you will hear it. And it is so amazingly quiet out there that on the other side of the property, you can hear the guy snoring in the tent. So there's no ways. There's no ways. So he takes me down and he says, there, just over that set of kennels. So there's a line of concrete kennels. He says, there's something moving there. I'm like, buddy, there's nothing out there. He says, there's something there. Look there. And as I look, I see a shadow moving. Now, I have this torch, and it's one of these really big military lights. When you turn it on, I mean, this beam is strong. And normally you don't even bother to use it because there's duller lights around that give you enough that you can see by, so you can move quite through the dark. So I whack this torch on and I shine it down. There's nothing to be seen. And there's nothing to hide behind except for these kennels. So I'm like, right, if somebody's playing silly buggers, I'm going to give them a good kicking. So I jog down with the torch to this line of kennels, and I look behind, and there's nothing there. Now my friend who's hung back a bit comes up and he says, can you see anything? I'm like, no, there's nothing here. So I turn the torch off and I give it back to him, and I'm like, really, there's nothing here. And all of a sudden, now his name wasn't Thomas, but we'll call him Thomas for the sake of the story. All of a sudden this voice calls out, Thomas. This is this low, gravelly voice. And we both turn. And there is this thing crouched on top of the kennels with these long arms that are sort of hanging down. He goes, Thomas. And my friend's like, that. And he shines the torch on it. And when he shines the bright light on it, there's nothing there. But when he turns the torch off, you see these red eyes and this shadow figure on top of the kennel still. And I'm like, fine. So I scoop up this rock and I hoy this thing, but with a serious aim. And it goes straight through whatever the thing was. And it laughs. And it's this low, guttural laugh. And it turns, looks at my friend and says, I'll be back, Thomas. Jumps off behind the kennels and it's gone. I'm like, not a hell. Now I'm angry. See, I don't get scared, I get angry. I get scared afterwards. I'm weird like that. I run down to the kennels and I jump on top, and I've grabbed the light from my friend. I shine the light down. It's a heavy light. If I whack you with this, you stay whacked. And I've also got with me my boot knife as well. I'm ready for anything here. I'm going to take out whatever the hell this is. Nothing there, no way to hide. So we're like, now what? So I check the time, and we've got 45 minutes left on his watch. So I'm, listen, buddy, I'm up. I'm walking it with you. You can have the torch, but if anything comes, I am kicking it. So he was like, cool. So we do his rounds. 2 o'clock. He's like, do we tell the next guy? And I'm like, no, let's see if he sees anything. So we hand over. We go to bed. Next morning, we were sitting at breakfast. I'm like, hey, did anybody see anything last night? And they're all like, no. What are we going to see? And I'm like, no, I just wondered, because, I mean, why are we even guarding this place? And they're like, you know they only send us for make work. So I'm like, yeah, no, I was just asking. Just me and my mates saw this. Good evening, Spooky Stream of Thoughts. How are you? Would you like to join? Let's give you a multi-guest. There we go. So, question for you all. What was it? Now, here is something which I went and looked into. And Spooky, all of the stories tonight are personal experiences. So you may make of them as you will. Be critical, please. I'm asking you to be. So, yes. So, I went and looked up. Now, according to what I was told, the local people of this area speak of a creature. Now, according to their mythology, basically it goes like this. When God made the world, he made a whole ton of things, but then he realized that some of the things fit very well in the world, and he put them in. But some of the things did not fit, so he put them into another place to not be used. And this place are for all of the things that don't have real existence, but they want it. And for the translations don't work terribly well, but for the sake of argument, it's called the out of. So it's out of here. So they're like shadow creatures. And every now and then they get in here. And they can change their shape. They are made of black shadow. And they have glowing red eyes. And they are seen around sometimes. And they hate reality because they haven't got it. And that was exactly a description of whatever it was that me and a friend, wide awake, saw that night. And it called him by name. What do you think? What was it? Spooky? Comment? No comment there. Yolanda, comment? Hey Rogue, how are you doing? I hope you're good. So yes, as I say, these are my experiences. Are they real or not? Ja, zeker dit is. For those of you who don't speak Afrikaans, he says this is the kind of thing where you run away to another country. He is not wrong, but I'm the sort of person that wants to know more. So I stuck around. Now, as I say, after the military, I worked for a little while, and then I joined the church. I was a member of the Order of Friar Servants of Mary, a religious order, and very specifically, they are the ones tasked with doing mission in KZN. Now, the way the Catholic Church works is you set up a church in an area, and it's run by the missionaries to the point that somebody local becomes a diocesan priest, and then that priest from the diocese will take over, and then the missionaries will go somewhere else. Now, when I was there were no diocesans in northern Zululand at all, none. It was still, even after 60 odd years, a work in progress. I believe it still is to today. There are places out there that are so remote that the average person has not seen a white face. There isn't either a policeman or a game ranger. That's it. They live out in remote bits, as they have done for centuries, and good on them. Nowadays things have changed quite a lot. I mean, when I went first to Cozy Bay, it was very small, and there was one shop and one petrol station in the town, and not that many, maybe 100, 200 people lived in town. Now it's huge, and they actually have real tarred roads, which again, well, there never was back when I was there. So the way it works for a student, you study when the university is open, and when it closes, you're sent straight up to the missions to work. And then you go back and carry on studying, and then you go back to the missions and you carry on working. And because I belonged to a particular branch that worked that bit of the very northern part of Zululand, that was where I spent my time. Now, it was during this time, as I say, I was studying theology, philosophy, all of that kind of stuff, and I would move up and down, and then I would be sent out to gain experience, basically, in the most remote parts, because that's how it was. And the people that were up there, they were mostly Irish priests, interestingly enough, and they had been there from the beginning. And in fact, just a little interesting fact, when they built the cathedral in North Zululand for the Archbishop there, the doors were carved by one of the most famous Zulu carvers. Sadly, he was murdered eventually. We don't know why or what happened, but his work was amazing, and to own a piece of his artwork is very rare. But he carved the doors for the cathedral, and what he did is he carved them with the church early setup, and he was so good that if you knew the priests that worked there, you would recognize them from the carvings. I could literally tell you, that was that priest, that was that priest. I knew them personally, and I could recognize them in the doors. He was that good. It was amazing work, beautiful, beautiful stuff, but very, very remote. No tarred roads at all. You had to have a bakkie to get around, and even then it was dodgy as heck. And a lot of the places didn't even have a church. You met at somebody's house. But the guy that I very often spent time with was the chief exorcist for KZN. And I would go along with him and help him out with whatever. And there were a couple of interesting occasions. And one of them, the central house was in Ingwavuma, which is in the mountains that are between KZN and Swaziland, in case you're wondering. And at least the people that come from there, they say that is where real Zulus come from. Everyone else is fake. Not my opinion. Take it as you wish. But it's very mountainous. Beautiful, beautiful place, but seriously difficult to get around, very remote. And we would drive for a couple of hours to get between churches. And we went out the one day to one of the churches. And as we get to this place, it's not a church, it's a house. It's somebody's house that they live in. And basically, you will go in and sit in the living room. They will give you a table to sit at. You sit on the floor, literally, on a mat, and you say Mass at this table, and everybody comes in and sits there, and there's maybe 50 people crammed into a small room, and you say Mass and all the rest of it, and then you go on to the next place. But we go out to this place, and normally every time we would go out, we'd pick a different place to go to, and he was dead keen to have me along. But this time he was like, maybe you should have a day off. And I'm like, a day off? Nobody gets a day off. It's Sunday. It's like the work day if you are in the church. There's no day off. Okay. Hey Yota, how you doing?
It was good, but bro, if I can suggest,
Yes.
just if you're feeling overwhelmed, maybe you should take the day off. Just not to be personal or anything like that. It's just about the rest, eh?
Okay, you don't like the live topic?
I don't understand what's the live topic about.
Supernatural.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I thought it was something different else.
No. I promise you I am very, very good.
No. I thought you were talking about you not taking rest days.
No. The point is that on a Sunday, if you are in the church, Sunday is not the day of rest. That's the main day to work. Because it's a Sunday if you're training to be a priest, which I was. So it was very strange to have the guy that I normally went with to learn from to tell me, maybe you should have a rest, take a day off. Because like, on a Sunday? No, that's not normal. So I was very like suspicious. Why would he want me to stay at home? And there were like about 6 priests in the house where I was, and they'd been there for years, like a good, I think the shortest time was 40 years for the one. The longest with the Archbishop, 60 years, and maybe more, actually 63. I forget off the top of my head. But they also, they all gave each other like a look, like, should we let him come to this one? But I'm like, hey, I'm good, let's go, let's do this. I'm full on for this, no problems, all perfect. So we go on out, and he's like, okay, come with me then. So I'm like, yeah, okay. And he says, I want to take some extra stuff. So I'm like, okay. So he gets this other little black case. Now, because I'm a nosy little bugger, I knew what the case was. It wasn't, because you have a case for all of your mass gear, but this was his case for actually exorcisms. And he's taking it just in case. So, as an experiment, okay, you must understand that if you're ever going to do an exorcism in the Catholic Church, you must fast first. It's just part of the thing. So I says to him, are we going to have breakfast before we're going? And he's like, I'm not hungry. So I'm like, okay, now I know. So I said, yeah, I'm not either. Let's just go. We'll go early. So he's like, okay. So we drive on out. Takes us about 2 hours to get to this place. We get to the house. Everyone's waiting for us. Now, the lounge area where we would say the Mass, it was quite big, but there's only one doorway in. So you come into the house, you go through the kitchen, and then you go off to the one side to the bedrooms and things, or you come straight through to the lounge. And there's a big window behind you, but there's no other door, is the point. And what's really important is that once you're in for the duration, because when you cram 60 people into a small room, you ain't leaving until everybody has gotten out the way. So there's no getting up, getting down, or anything. People would see you. It would be really obvious, and everyone's sitting on the floor. So we've got this low table there. I lay out the cloths for the altar and everything, put everything on. We're all ready. And the priest says to me, please take out my missal for saying the Mass, put it, the big book, put it on the stand. So I take it out. And it's a big book. It's not a little thing. I mean, you're going to see if somebody's holding it or picks it up. And I put it on the stand. Now remember, we've got the table between us and everyone else. And it's a wide-ish table for somebody to take the book while we're watching and facing them, you're going to see. So I put the book down. I then take out the chalice and the pyx and everything, and I put it on the table. Where's the book gone? And look around, can't find the book. So we're like, who took the book? And everyone's like looking around, nobody took the book. But now they're seated and it's like 5 deep. Unless it was like everybody in on it, and they wouldn't be because they have far too much respect for the priest to ever do something like that, everybody would have known. But the book is gone. So we start searching. We look under things. People are now checking around. And then the one guy stands up and opens the one cupboard at the back wall, and the book is inside. So it gets passed back to us. We think, how did it get in the cupboard? Now, the priest is starting to look a little shifty. But I lay everything out. It's my job. And we start the Mass. And so far, so good. And we've got people are praying and everything. And all of a sudden, somebody says, goodness, look. And we look behind us and the curtain is on fire. Now, we're back against the wall. There's nobody behind us. Everybody is in front of us. Nobody could have set light to the curtain. And the window behind us, while it's a nice big window, it doesn't open. So there's no way somebody from outside could have done anything. Now the curtain's on fire. So somebody grabs a jug of water, we put the curtain out. So this is now odd. Then we start, okay, carry on with the Mass. We're praying. All of a sudden, the cupboard falls over, nearly squashing 3 people. So now we put it up. No, not possible, because the candles are on the front of the altar, not towards us at the back, and I set them up. They've got a wide, flat base, and they're pretty thick. So there is no way for something to fall over, and if it did, it would have fallen off the front. It couldn't have got behind us to set the curtain alight. And the curtain was burning towards the beginning, towards the middle, not from the bottom if something fell down. So unless literally I or the priest turned around and set it alight, there's no way. So now we're thinking, hold on, now this cupboard's fallen over that we put it all upright. We carry on. Something ain't going well here. Then all of a sudden, The whole, now, we're talking North Zululand. It's hot. It is so freaking hot. And we're in a small room. The only airflow in is through the door. And you've got 60 people in this thing. I mean, you are sweating. It is hot. And all of a sudden, we are cold. That makes no sense. And eventually now, the priest says, we need to finish the Mass now. I'm like, okay. He says, so we're going to finish up and we will sing the last songs outside. But now it's getting cold. So he finishes the Mass quickly. Everybody gets up. Everyone leaves. I pack everything, put it all away. And I was there and hang on, what's going on here? And we go outside. And then they all sang all of their songs and everything was great. And we leave. And I says to him, hey, what gives? What's going on? And he says, there's something in the house and it doesn't like Jesus. I'm like, okay, now from the chief exorcist in the Catholic Church for KwaZulu-Natal, that is not a good sentence to hear. So he says, I'm going back, but not with you. I was a bit miffed because I really wanted to see, but he was firm. So the next day he went back. And when he came back, I said, well, did you sort it? He said, the exorcism failed. I'm going again next week with more. I said, okay. So he went again the next week, and he came back and he said, the exorcism did not go well. So we've decided. The local chief went and got 50 men from the community. They built a house further away for the family, same day. They moved the family out the house with all their belongings to the new place, and they burnt that house to the ground, and nobody was allowed to build there ever again. So what was it? Now, according to the exorcist, the priest, he said it was a demon. I can attest to the fact that things disappeared from the altar. I can attest to the fact that the curtain somehow caught on fire. I know for absolute certainty that this old priest was not going to mess with something like the Mass. He wouldn't have played games, and neither would any of the people even been able to that came for the Mass. And the people there are very devout. They would not mess with the Mass. It would be considered very, very bad. So these things happened, but how? How is it possible? And what was it? Opinions? Throw them out there. But that was the second thing that happened to me, that I saw with my own eyes. But that was not the only one. There's more. Well, Sticks, you might be right. According to what I heard bits of later, that particular area was said to have been a place somewhere around there where, okay, now for those of you who don't know, in Zulu culture, an Isangoma is not a witch because they are the good ones. If they say it's a witch, they mean the bad ones. Okay? It's just how it is in the Zulu culture. They said there was a witch that lived there, that this was about 100 years ago. And eventually the local clan decided, we don't need this. They're bringing Tagati. And they went and executed her, whoever it was, and got rid of the bad. but that spot was said to be the place where they had eventually put her down. That was all that was remembered from 100 years ago. And ever since then, it was a problem spot. And they thought it had gone quiet and it was okay, and then this family had come in, built their house, and so on and so forth. But it was considered to be sufficiently dangerous that the local chief paid himself for an entire new house to be built. Now remember that while these people can't be called poor in a sense because they have good lives, they don't have any money because they don't need it. Money is very rare, so getting supplies for building is not easy for them. Many of them make their own bricks and everything when they build because there isn't money. They got plenty of food and all the rest of it and they have a nice life, but we're talking right out in the wild places. There are no shops. So for a chief to pay in order to rebuild an entire house just so the family will move out into a new place is a major deal for the people. So they all believed that it was something bad. The exorcist says it was a demon. Give your opinions. A demon left behind from old witchcraft, maybe. That's an interesting question because I find that it depends. Either it starts very strong and fades, or in some rare cases it does get worse, and I'm not sure why. There must be reasons for it. So there are a lot of hauntings that in the beginning everyone saw the ghosts there and rah-de-rah-de-rah, and it became more and more rare for the ghost to appear, and eventually there's nothing. But there are occasions I've come across, and one or two I've seen, where it's gotten worse. And especially if there's something that would particularly upset whatever is there, so that it rekindles the emotional intensity that keeps whatever it is there. Like, for example, somebody coming and saying Mass every month in what they see as their place that shouldn't have it. So yeah, apparently it was angry about that. And it particularly did not like Jesus. So make of it as you will. But if I ever find an answer, I will tell you guys. I have never found an answer to those laws of the supernatural, but there it is. And yes, very freaky. So that one, okay, the first story I told, I'm pretty sure was a ghost, in my opinion. The second one, I'm not really certain what it was. It was some kind of a spirit. I don't think it was a ghost, and I don't think it was a demon. This third story, I'm pretty certain, was something demonic that had come into this place. That would be my opinion. Believe? Don't believe? Up to you. Spooky, comments?
No comment.
No comments yet. All right. Well, with that said, let's move on to the next story. Now, this also happened while I was working up there. Now, one of the problems is when you belong to an order that takes a vow of poverty, there is often not a lot available for the use thereof because they give you what you need and nothing more. So, way back, nearly 100 years prior, they had set up this mission. And adjoining the mission was a school. Okay, now the school was literally for about 5 students. It was that small at the time. And over the years, things had grown and gotten bigger. And so what they eventually did is they built an entire new school, which was run by the nuns that came to work there as well. Very, very nice school. But they built it a fair distance away from the old mission house. And the important thing was there were 2 buildings. There was one building for the priests to live in, and there was one building for the school and a set of dormitories just for the girls. So the girls would board, so they didn't have to walk alone back and forth from home, but the boys walked. So there was space for maybe 30 girls in total, with the old terrible beds inside this building, which you came up the stairs into a front room through a locked door. This is important. Through a locked door. You then had a little lounge area. If you went to the left, there was a locked door that went into the washroom and bathroom and showers. Okay. If you went to the right, there was a locked door that went into the dormitory room for the girls. And if you went straight forward, there was a locked door that went into the office for the house mother. And you went through another locked door behind that into the room that she would sleep in. Now, this was not in use for about 15 years when I went up there, because now they had the new school. And the problem, though, they were still using the priest's house, which was a lovely old building, but there was only enough room for the 5 people that were staying there. So there was no room in the house for me. So what they did is said, well, you go and sleep in the dorm matron's old room, which nobody is using. And it's fine. I mean, you know, there's a bed, there's a shower, there's a toilet, here's a candle. That's what you get. Now, the electricity there was notoriously awful. It went off on a regular basis, and there was no generator at the time. So it was tough luck. If it went off, you dealt with it. Now, the priest's house had a small generator, but it was about 800 meters from the building that I was put in and the priest's house, with a big field between, which was used for whatever school activities they did. So I would go and sleep after dinner on my own in this place, and I would walk in the morning and have breakfast at the house and then get on with the day. So I would go there for all meals and for all work, but I would sleep on my own out, and it was nice out there. I mean, it was pretty safe. As long as you didn't go outside at night, there wasn't any issues or problems, so, you know, who cares? And they had built the police station literally next door, so, I mean, we were massively safe. It was fine. So this is where the Archbishop was, who had been there about 63 years, as well as 3 other priests who had been there a good 40 years, and one other guy that was a builder that came into, and he would move around the missions to help building the churches. He was there at the time, which is why there was no room for me in the priest's house. So all good. So I go in, I settle in, no problem, and I get given this gigantic bunch of keys with all the keys for this place. And they're like, they still work, off you go, don't lose them, they're the only ones left. So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So the first night in, I finish the day's work, I go in, I go to bed, no problem, get up, go have breakfast in the morning, get on with the day. Life is lovely. It's standard practice. Next day, I go in, and I'd been out, and it had been a particularly tough day and a very hot one. Thank you for those likes, I do appreciate. So I was really, really sweaty and I just felt yuck. And we had helped with some building and stuff. So I was gritty and nasty. I'm like, you know what? Early supper, straight back, good shower, into bed. So I go on down and I set everything up, put all my stuff away, and there's a process. So unlock the front door, lock it behind me. Unlock the office door, lock it behind me. Unlock the room's door, lock it behind me. Because I'm on my own in the middle of nowhere, so you know. And I didn't have a torch, I had a candle, so I didn't use a torch going back and forth, I had just the candle in the room. And it was fine, it was enough, I could see well enough in the dark. So I reckon, right, light on, time to shower. And I go run the water a little to let it come from the solar geyser down to make it nice and warm. Nice, life is good. Get undressed, and I'm about to get in the shower and the lights go out. But I don't think anything of it because this is normal. So I light the candle. I go peek out the window and everybody's got light around me except me. So I think, oh, well, maybe a fuse blew. But I'm not going to go bother them now. I'll deal with it in the morning. I don't care. Go turn on the shower. Now, if you've ever smelt it, blood has a particular scent. And if you've smelt it, you never forget it. And I could smell it. And I'm like, something's died and fallen in the water tank. So I turn off the shower. I'm like, you know what, stuff it. I'm going to sleep. I'll shower at the priest's house in the morning, tell them, and then get a ladder or something and climb in and see what I can do to sort this out. So I go to bed. No problem. Get up in the morning and go through. I shower at the house, carry on with my day. End of the next day, I come back. We have supper. I go back. Open the outer door, lock it behind me. Open the office door, lock it behind me. Open the bedroom door, lock it behind me. And I'm sitting there, I turn the lights on, they're all working again. So, okay, no problem. This is all right. Go turn on the water and maybe I can run it a bit. Water's fine. Absolutely no smell of anything. So, oh, maybe it was just something in the pipes and it's washed out or something. So, whatever. I really want to shower now because it's been 2 days. And I managed to have a brief cold one at the priest's house, but no, I want a decent one. I like my shower. So I'm about to get in the shower, got dressed and everything, lights go out. Okay, light the candle. Go turn on the shower. Strong smell of blood. So I turn the shower off. I'm not going to shower in that. I don't know what it is. So, all right, cold shower in the morning again. Go to bed. And I'm sitting there, and I'd forgotten to turn the light off again. So the light's on, but there's no power. And I'm just settling down to go to sleep, and all the lights come on. And I'm like, okay. So I get up, go to turn off the lights, and I thought to myself, I don't know. Now I want to know. So I go run the water, and it's fine. So I think, okay, but I'm up, and the water's hot, and it's fine, and the lights are on. So I have a shower, go to bed, no problem. And then I realized, actually, this happens at the same time every night. That's odd. Anyway, go through the next day, all the rest, come back, but now I'm thinking. So instead of going to bed, I'm waiting. And I realize that at 11:30, the lights go out just for me. And it happened again. Now, I'd gone and run the water before then, and it was fine. After the lights go out, strong smell of blood. So I turn the shower off, and I go sit on the bed, and I'm waiting, and I'm thinking, what do I do about this? And I hear somebody walking around in the lounge. So I think to myself, really? Obviously somebody is trying to play a trick on me. Watch me scare them. So I grab a stick and I go quiet as a mouse. Unlock the door, go into the office. Unlock the door to the lounge area. You would not have heard me at all. Throw the door open and jump out. And I hear somebody run down the concrete stairs outside. So I'm going to get them. And I run to the front door and open it, but it's locked. And I'm like, wait a minute. I heard them run out, even though I didn't see them. How did they run out when I heard them inside if the door's locked? That's odd. Then the lights come on. So I'm like, something strange is happening. So, go through the next day, come back. Now I'm waiting. Sure enough, 11:30, lights go out, test the water. I made sure I showered early. Oh, well, I like my shower. And again, strong smell of blood. But now I've left the doors unlocked, so I won't be slowed. And I hear them. I can hear hard-soled shoes walking around in the lounge area. But now I made sure to leave the bedroom door not just unlocked but open. So I go barefoot through into the office, and there's a window between the office and the lounge. So I peer through into the lounge, and I can see all of it. There's nothing there. Okay. So I open the door, and now I've left the outer door locked. So I'm standing there, and I'm thinking. So I go, is anybody there? Nothing. Says, can you hear me? Nothing. And then I think to myself, hold on, I'm in North Zululand. So I say it in Zulu. Is anybody there? And all of a sudden, the footsteps start walking towards me. And they stop. Then I hear there's this really, really old couch with ruined springs. I can hear and see the depression where somebody has sat on the couch. But there's nobody there. So I say to them, who are you? What do you want? And they don't reply, but they stand up and start walking towards me. So I says to them, you're dead, you must go. And they run out through this locked door, down the stairs and gone into the night. At that moment, the lights come back on. And I'm standing there like, what just happened? So now I'm thinking about this. So the next morning I go in, and it was a very busy day, and everybody had gone except for the Archbishop. Now remember, he's been there 63 years. Now the people there, if they don't know you, they won't talk to you. They have to really know you. I mean, it took 20 years for them to start opening up to the Archbishop on personal things. So it's not a thing that happens. So we're sitting having breakfast, and this guy is one of these Mensa level intelligent people. He was an amazing guy. And he says to me, you're quiet. So I says to him, so one of the girls from the school died, didn't she? He looks at me, he says, why would you say that? Nothing's happened recently here. And I'm like, no, not recently, but I think she died by the river in the big place where we draw water from, where it's deep. He looks at me, and I said, she was one of the girls that went to the school. He says to me, how did you know that? because I know nobody told you. And it wasn't reported because it just wouldn't. It was a community issue. He says, she drowned, we think. But they say that it wasn't drowning. But they never found out who might have done it. And I looked at him and I said, so she died in the water. She was one of the local girls. And she was found in her school uniform. And he looks at me, he says, there is no ways you could possibly know that. How did you know that? And I said, she stopped by last night. Now, to his credit, he was one of these people that did not just dismiss anything out of hand. And he absolutely thought for a very long time, and eventually he says to me, you might not want to repeat that story to anybody, especially not around here, just in case. But it's interesting that you knew all of it. It took me 3 years to hear the whole story. And I've literally been there at the birth, marriage, and death of a number of the people in this community. I raised their children in the church. So, yeah. The next ghost story. Any comments? Do you believe? Do you disbelieve? Again, sadly, I cannot prove it, but it was what happened to me. And yeah. Now I've seen many ghosts since then, and many things that I would have a hard time to explain. And you spend any time working with the exorcist in a church, you learn a thing or two. So, yeah, there are things. I remember there was a chap that was a quite new, young exorcist for Durban. And he was a lecturer where I was studying. And the one day, he was looking harried in class, and I said to him, I don't know, Sticks, to be honest with you, I'm one of those people that, and I found this out in the military as well, I don't get scared at the time. I get angry. And then after the event, then I get scared when it's all over. It's like my mind won't let me feel it at the time. And I deal with things. And then afterwards, when everything's over, that's when I get scared. So I tend to run towards things that should frighten me. I'm weird like that. I don't know. So yeah, in many occasions I've had friends run like hell from things that I went to see what's going on. I don't know. It hasn't always been good for me. There was a guy that tried to mug me once in Durban, walking through the graveyard to take a shortcut home, and he came at me with a knife, and my response was to run at him screaming, and he had such a fright he ran away. And my friend was like, are you dumb? He was armed. What were you going to do? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I didn't want to give him my wallet. And yeah, in hindsight, it was dumb. And I remember going home, and I was sitting in the bath, actually, after supper, just before bed, and all of a sudden I was shivering, I was terrified. And I just didn't, and I was like, what is wrong with me? I've literally gotten home. I don't even live in Durban. Why am I scared now? But yeah, that's me, weird and stupid. Probably be more stupid than anything else. So yeah. It's a trait that has certainly paid off in my years as a crime reporter, because I would run in and take photographs when everyone's running away. And on more than one occasion, I had the security officer I worked with at times drag me out, saying, listen, buddy, You can't do that. But I did. It's a useful trait when at murder scenes, because I don't feel anything at the time. So I can go around and take photographs and life's fine. Afterwards, when I'm not in front of everybody else and I'm safe at home, then I have the jitters and feel sick and all the rest of it. But not at the time. I don't know. I'm weird. So, now, the next interesting story isn't real, but maybe it shows to you that I do have a very warped sense of humour. And I tell you this purely for the amusement thereof. For a year, my family went to live in England, and obviously I went with them. And while I was there, I used to go to the church youth group, and it was very nice, it was cool. But there were two ways to get to the church where the youth group was from my house. And I used to walk, because it's pretty safe. You could take the long way, which was about 3 k's longer, and went through a bit of a dodgy part of town, or you could cross the graveyard. Very big old graveyard in Port Slade. Now, the problem is they shut the gates at a certain time at night, which means you finish youth group and you book it to get across the graveyard before they lock the gates. And I was held up the one night, and it was just about autumn. So there was a lot of autumn fogs, and you could barely see where you were going, which delayed me further. So I got to the first gate on the one side, and it was open, and I went in. And as I'm walking through, I come across 2 girls who are also walking through, and they're like, "This is really difficult. We can't find the other gate. We're lost because of the fog. We're so glad you're here. Do you know how to get to the other gate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, follow me." And as we're going, the one girl says to me conversationally, "Oh, we're so glad you're here, because we were scared going through a graveyard at night." And without thinking, I says to them, "Nah, there's nothing to be afraid of here. I've been here 300 years and never seen a thing." And they ran like hell. And I felt quite guilty about it. And the next day I went down to the local Tesco's, which is kind of like your Spar there. And she was working on, the one girl was working on one of the tills. And as I came in to buy a few things, she looked up. The relief on her face was unbelievable. She was like, "Yeah, now I can see you actually were real," because clearly she had spent the night terrified. And I just smiled and said, "Well," but yeah, it was just a year, and I didn't like it there at all. It was a terrible place to live. There are no insects to hear. Everything's dead. No sounds at night. It used to keep me awake. Very strange. If you want to know what does scare me, it's the city. I can't handle them. So, is what it is. Say what you say. But there you go. But these are not the only ghost stories that we have. I think it would be reasonable, and I have shared this once before, but there's a number of you on that haven't heard it, so I'm going to share it. A very sweet ghost story, a love story. Oh no, cities don't work for me. I'm a bosvarkie. So yeah, but I've always been that. It's something about me, I suppose. So I used to run my own newspaper, and at the time I lived in a farming community. For those of you who know it, it's Richmond in KZN. And one of the things that's there is a really nice little restaurant. And it's built around the idea of an English garden, with beautiful rose bushes and flowers and nicely mowed little lawn area and trees all around. And I got to admit that they served the greatest scones I've ever had in my life. So once in a while, I would troll on over there for tea and scones, though in my case, coffee and scones, because they did it the right way. And I always ordered 2 sets, one savory with all the cheese and bacon bits, and one sweet with the real strawberry jam and cream. It was decadence, fantastic stuff. And I loved going there. And I used to write articles of social nature at the time. So often when I would go there, I would sit in the garden, I would order my coffee, I'd go there with my girlfriend at the time, and we maybe would have a lunch, but I would have my scones. That was the way to go. I can get a sandwich at home. Scones like that. And quite a few of the locals would come there, as well as people from outside, because it was that good. And I often would see the owner there, very nice young lady, and I would often see what I assumed was her parents, who obviously were now too old to run the place, so the daughter was doing it. And it was a little old man and a little old woman, and they would stand on the balcony smiling out at everyone, hand in hand. They must have been in their 90s, but I always used to think it was such a nice thing. Anyway, I wrote an article to help promote their business the one day, free for them, because I thought it was worth it and they were that good. And the owner came out and thanked me for it and was like, can I not pay? I'm like, no. Did you know that there's actually a lot of history about this place? And I said, well, I'd love to know. I'll do another article on it. I think that'd be great. So she says, well, back in the day, the first farm in Richmond, the Richmond Farm, was this one. And now it's just the house and the garden, and everything's now the town. But originally, it was like a 100-acre farm, way back in the day. And the people that came to this place built this house. It's the original home of the original Richmond family. And they lived here and they died in the house and their children carried on, and I'm a descendant of the original. So I thought, well, that's very nice. And she says, yes. And they were known in the area because they were very religious, very devout, and very much in love. And they always said that you should share. And they would often invite friends from all around to come and join them for tea on a Sunday afternoon when nobody worked, just because, which was wonderful. Hey, and I thought, and that was the idea that spawned the restaurant, that the sharing with people in a beautiful environment. The lady was an amazing gardener, and she had planted the original rose bushes. So they were a few 100 years old, and the house was as well. And she said, in fact, thank you so much. We have hit our life goal. Fantastic. Appreciated that, Endless Thoughts. I hope you're well, if late. So she says, if you go inside, there was a painting that was done by a local artist when they were alive, of the two of them. It's hanging in the lounge area. You can go on through and have a look. And I thought, well, that's perfect, and I got all the details of the story and everything. And I said to my girlfriend, listen, give me 5 minutes. I'm just going to go grab a photograph of the painting to put in along with and do the story. So I went on in to take the photograph, and there in the original painting was the same little old man and little old woman that I had so often seen standing on the stoop hand in hand, looking out over everybody enjoying it. So I took my photograph and I went out and I finished my scone. And my girlfriend says to me, you're looking very thoughtful. And I was like, yeah, no, I just want to get the story right in my head, you know. And I'm like, I'm not going to say anything, am I? Because can you imagine? By the way, there's a couple of ghosts that come to watch, and nobody else could ever see them except me. Nobody knew that they were there. And they had been there for hundreds of years, and they never wanted to leave. They loved each other, they were happy there, and they loved seeing people coming and enjoying their garden, and had done so for about 300 years. But it was the exact same couple. But I wanted to try and surreptitiously take a couple of photos of the house and try and catch them. And I did try, but unfortunately they were not in the photograph. Because when I went to download all the things from the camera on the computer, all the photos of the front of the house didn't come out. Only the ones of the garden. Make of it as you will. But yeah, I had taken about 15 photos, making sure to get the two of them. But yeah, did not come out. Why? I don't know. So well, it seems that some ghosts stick around because they are happy. By the way, everybody, talking about really cool things and wonderful stories, if you're into poetry at all, I am, very much so. Endless Thoughts just did a spontaneous and rather amazing poem on our last live, which was really, really cool. And she redid it and put it on her own live. So go and follow her and check out the spooky poem that she did live for us all, which was really cool. Yeah, and make sure, like, share, follow. It's looking after each other. I always make a point of following those that follow me, so you may expect that. And I do try when I get the chance to go and like your videos too. So make a community of, because it matters. If we don't support each other, what can we do? Now I will tell you as well, by the way, hopefully 2 more people follow me tonight, because I'm 2 away from the goal. I know 1 person has. I'm hoping somebody else did as well. I'm 2 away from the goal. So I'm in huge, huge hope that I will tonight get that final thing. So yes, but yes, it's always a pleasure, Endless Thoughts. So follow Endless Thoughts, follow Spooky. He's another stalwart of this channel, and he's got some cool stuff too. And all of the others. And I don't know where she is lately. I hope she's all right. But Mickey Mew, she's missing in action, but she deserves a like and a follow too, and she's also got good stuff. So yeah, make sure that you share the love around the channel. Kurtley could do, Sticks could do, why not? Let's go like and follow. Well, it did actually, which was really, really cool, and it was so close to the final total goal. I mean, we were right on the edge. So I know I'm at least 1 further. I haven't checked the chat all the way through. So I'm very much hoping that there were 2, in fact, that followed. I know Sticks did, and I think Latte did, which means we've hit it, we've done it, and that makes it an even more special one. Which is really, really, really cool. But now, with all the stories that I've told, those are my top stories. I do have more of personal experience. Shane, Spooky, you missed out on the whole Kempton Park thing. I was so sad. But I am going to be putting it up on the YouTube at some stage. So it will go there. If you would like, I will send it to you if you want, because I know I did promise you the whole Kempton Park experience. It was a good one. So yeah, lots of interesting and terrifying things. If you don't know Kempton Park Hospital and why it's haunted, go check it out. It's a creepy thing, and yes, I have been there 3 times, and on all 3 occasions encountered things that definitely were of interest to the supernatural community, so to speak. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, and some of it does indeed go bump in the night, and some of it bumps really quite hard. It's even possibly dangerous. As I said then, one of my friends went there with a couple of her buddies, and she came home with something, and it caused all kinds of trouble until she had to be exorcised. And her mother's house, where she was living at the time, had to be blessed as well, which clearly shows that do be careful. Do be careful. There's a lot of things that might be there. But nevertheless, I'm trying to think of the really good and interesting things that I've encountered over times. I do remember one very interesting one. I used to have a cat. Now, you may make of this what you will, but this cat was pitch black with the weirdest yellow eyes, and for whatever reason, it hated everybody and adored me. And every single night, it would sleep on my feet, guaranteed, and it knew things. It knew things. And I would talk to it all the time, and it would respond to me. And on more than one occasion, my friends would say to me, you know what, you're a bit of an idiot. It's a dumb cat. They can't speak English. And I was like, no, it knows what I'm saying. It understands. It understands everything. And they were like, nah. Anyway, the one day we're sitting at the top of my driveway, and my friend says to me, listen, buddy, you need to stop talking to the cat. It doesn't understand. If it really understood, and I'm not looking at it or changing my voice, it would know that I think it's an utterly stupid animal. And I looked at him and I said, it does. And at that moment, the cat came up behind him and took both of his ankles with its claws, and fled. And he was like, no. And I'm like, you insulted the cat. It knew. So we were actually coming to my place. So we walk on down the driveway and he's like, no. So we go into the lounge and he's about to sit down in the one chair, and the cat jumps up and sits behind him. So he's like, okay, fine. I'll sit in the other chair. So he goes to sit in that chair. The cat jumps across and sits behind him. And looks at him with this, you don't get to sit on a chair in my house. Then he's like, fine. So he sits on the carpet. So the cat then mews at me, climbs onto the arm of the chair. I sit in the chair and it sits in my lap. And it sits there purring, very, very smug. And my friend's like, okay, I now believe that your cat speaks to you and understands. So the one day we went out, and we were out very late at night as, let's just say, teenagers going out to a friend's house, which means to our secret spot out in the cane fields where we got a couple of six-packs hidden because, you know, we're 15 and damn it, that's the most exciting thing ever, which we proceeded to do. But on the way home, something started following us, and it was the weirdest thing. It was the same shadowy type thing that was in my second story, and we could see it following us. Now, you must understand that my cat never left my house. It didn't. We had a very large garden. It lived in the house and garden, and it did not ever leave. It just didn't. And that night, as we were coming down the road, my cat's waiting for me at the top of the road, about 2 k's from my house. And then it followed me and walked next to me the whole way back to my house like it was guarding me. And whatever had been following us fled the cat. And when I got home, as we walked into my gate, the cat disappeared. It's like, you're home, you're safe, it's okay. So that was me and my friends. They saw it too, so they knew. So I said, all right. The cat knows more than you think. Now, the other weird thing is when I went to the military, of course, the only way to contact home would have been from the base via the Tiki Box, the public telephone. And I never had money because they would pay you only into your account. So I never had any cash, ever. So I could never phone home and say, hey, I've got leave, I'm coming down. And I'm miles and miles away on the other side of the country to come home. So basically, I would turn up on the doorstep and go, hi, is me. And that's how they knew I was coming home. But then I noticed a strange thing. I would turn up on the doorstep at home, and my mother would have a full hot meal waiting for me. Now, I didn't even know when I was getting home, because it was buses and hitchhiking and all the rest of it. And I'm like, how do you have a hot meal waiting for me when you don't know, when I don't know when I'm going to be home? And my mother said, well, I don't quite know how it works, but your cat only sits on the post at the front drive 1 hour before you come home and waits for you. So I know I've got an hour to make a meal. It never goes there any other time. So if I see the cat there, in an hour you'll be home. And I realized I was always greeted by my cat when I arrived back, every single time. And my mother never explained it, and she never said anything about it, merely that she knew by the cat I was coming. Dunno. Was it really a cat? Was it some kind of a familiar? I don't know. But it's kind of cute. And it absolutely was an amazing cat to have. Pitch, pitch, pitch black, with golden yellow eyes, and claws about 3 times longer than any cat had a right to have. So, yeah, there you go. And that is my stories for tonight. I hope that you have enjoyed. I hope that you have opinions. Please do give your opinions. As I say, I can only tell you that they are true and that they happened to me personally. So, what were they? I've seen the dead walk. I have seen demons rise. And I've seen strange things that I cannot explain, from UFOs to what really looked like some kind of Bigfoot creature. Thank you for the likes there, Mr. D. I don't know. If you can give me a good explanation for all of it, do it. But from the stories you've heard tonight, if you can explain them away, well, I spent a lifetime trying to explain them, and I can't yet, except to say that I've seen what I've seen, and it is what it is. So, ghosts, spirits, demons, familiars, who's to say? There's a lot out there, and science can't explain all of it at all. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. And sleep well, sleep deep, sleep sweet. But sleep with one eye open, because I've seen some of the things that can go bump in the night. And you better be careful that they don't go bump for you. Good night. Cheers, cheers, Endless Thoughts. Cheers, cheers, Spooky. Cheers there to all of you guys. Have a wonderful evening, Sashan, Pierre, James, and all the guys, Sticks, that gave us such good support. Babs, have a wonderful